In this video, I'm going to explain what I see as the new standard for fathers. And it's really also for men in the world. And if you're a woman who found this you can use to help hold a vision for how you can be able to support your man in your life. I have another video I made on the idea of being a life engineer. That's more for the women. It's my wife and I making the video together. So I'll make sure I link to that in the description below, because the man going all out in his part of the relationship and the woman going all out in her part of the relationship, she'll be able to see the vision, and that will inspire the man to go all out. And then ultimately, and the reason why I make these videos is because you got kids that are about to inherit this world, and we got to change what's going on. So let's just dive in. I wrote a Substack article on this. You can read it for more in depth, but I just want to rant a little bit about it because this is what I live. This is what I breathe. This is like my life essence is this exact message right here. So years and years ago, back when I was single or kind of on and off dating, I knew in the back of my mind, I wanted to have an amazing relationship, an amazing family, an amazing legacy with my kids, and, change the world. Like, that was what was driving me. And that's who I make my videos for. In this process, I've come across a couple really, really profound things that have helped me. Some are specific tools I've used to change, and some is more like a life philosophy. When adopted and when understood and when lived, your life becomes freaking amazing. Like, I don't have disagreements with my wife. Like, we don't get into heated debates and arguments, and we don't talk shit about each other. I go all out in my life. Sometimes my wife will see something that I don't see, and she'll help bring it to my attention, and vice versa with her. But you can have such a stronger relationship. But this is specifically now about the father or the husband's role in the journey. Okay. So for a new standard for our fathers, let's get real for a moment. Do you realize the world our kids are inheriting? Like, if your kid is going to school right now, and I realize some parents haven't questioned it, or some parents just want to put their kids in school. Okay. But do you realize the school system was designed for an economy that no longer exists? School system is designed to get kids to sit in a classroom, recite the answers, and then essentially try and get a good grade, so then they can go on and keep getting good grades so they can get some decent job at some Fortune 500 company. That is like the whole push of the school. And if you don't understand this stuff and you're interested in it, John Taylor Gatto, Gatto, that's how you spell his name. He has some phenomenal interviews and books on this. But I think you can see the point of, school is not designed for success for our kids. So what do you do instead? You as the father got to have your role dialed in, and you got to know what you stand for, because you're educating your kids whether you like it or not. Every time they see you, every time they interact with you, every time you either inspire them or you mess them up, that is the impact. That is their education. And so we're in this state, and we're at a point in time in the world where there is artificial intelligence that is beyond human intelligence now. We've literally hit that point. And how they study this, I won't go into a whole rabbit hole about this, but how they study it is they take all these different like Nobel Prize level like questions, let's say in mathematics, and then one in history, and in all these different domains. And then they ask the AI to do it. And the AI can solve this like rapidly. Stuff that has taken humans sometimes decades to try and figure out, like a math equation, these really, really difficult problems. And the AI can just pop it out. And now we're at the point where there's all these companies with these AIs that can do this. So if you're betting on your kids are just magically going to get some job as like a accountant or like a pilot or like a lawyer or a doctor, and you don't think that industry is going to massively change over the next 10 years, like, what are you doing? And so it's on us to teach our kids how to be adaptable, how to be resilient, but also how to be really freaking smart. You're going to have to be really smart to navigate this world and not have any resistance towards learning new things. Now, for me, when I was a kid and I went through public school, frankly, I did not like school. I didn't like learning. I didn't like sitting in the class all day. I just basically wanted to be at recess with my friends. That's what I wanted to do. But I went through school and I ended up developing a massive resistance towards learning. And I got decent grades, right? I went on to university. I graduated as one of the top in the class when I got my degree in psychology. That did not prepare me for the real world. Even back then, right? This is back in 2016 when I, had fully graduated and then went out into the world. What did help me was putting myself around the right people and the right environments and putting myself way outside my comfort zone. So I dove more into the world of startups, and then learning really practical skill sets like marketing, like sales, like how to build websites, like how to network, how to talk to people, and how to build community. That taught me way more than anything in school could. Now, how do I interpret this as a dad and as a father? Is this is the stuff I'm starting to instill into my kids even at a very young age. Obviously, I'm not going to bring them to some networking event right now, or I'm not going to teach my kids sales. But guess what? I actually am in a certain way. I wrote another Substack article on this called "Why I Teach My Kids to Be Persuasive," and I have a 2.5-year-old, and he's pretty damn smart already. Like, he can put words together, he can understand quite a bit, and that's because my wife and I treat him as equal. Obviously, we're his parents. He's not a total equal to us in ability, but we don't talk down to him. We don't do baby talk. We don't, just like disregard him and think, oh yeah, well, once he's 7, then I'll start, acting different. It's like, no, from a young age, like I'm helping morph and shape this kid's mind into how he's going to see the world. So like the other week we were at the mall, and here we have a place called the Mall of America. So it's got like an amusement park inside, and there's this Ferris wheel, and my son freaking loves this Ferris wheel. Every time we talk about it randomly, he'll just be like, the Ferris wheel, Mall of America. So he's like trying to tell us that's what he wants to go do. And sometimes we'll tell him like, look, it doesn't make sense today. Like we're not going to go over there. We're not we don't have time to do it or whatever, or we're just there. And we're like, hey, look, not every time we're going to go on the Ferris wheel, and that's okay. But I don't shut him down. I don't go, oh, no Ferris wheel. It doesn't make sense right now. Instead, I say, look, right now, me and mom agree we're not going to do the Ferris wheel. But that doesn't mean you're fully it doesn't mean you can't try and persuade us. So he's still working on his ability to do that. But I have friends who do the same parenting technique. And by the time a kid is like 3 or even 5 or even 7, if you do this right, that kid will come back with a justification of why why you should do the Ferris wheel or whatever. It could be like, hey, I want to eat another cookie before bedtime. And so many parents will just react, especially as the men. You got to direct this in your home, where you'll be like, nope, no sugar after 9 p.m. And it's like, I understand the sentiment because you probably care about your kid. You want him to get to bed on time. You don't want him to have a big sugar rush or whatever before bed. I understand where you're coming from. But do you also see, imagine you were a kid and you actually wanted the cookie. You didn't really understand the rules. You didn't understand that, oh, it's 9 p.m., it's bedtime. You're still making sense of the world. And now you're expressing yourself like, hey, I want a cookie. And then your dad just goes, nope, because I said so. What is that creating in the kid? Because think about it. I know a lot of you watching this, on some level, you want to teach your kid to question authority. You want to teach your kid to be a critical thinker and to be independent in their ability to think and reason and actually make decisions for themselves. I know you want that, but that actually starts way younger than you're probably thinking. So for some of you, you already have older kids and maybe you messed up in their childhood, whatever. It's never too late to work on correcting it. But also, especially for those of you who have younger kids, or if you don't have kids yet, I'm telling you, there's a whole philosophy. I can't get it across in a little YouTube video here, but I'm telling you, if you like this kind of thing and you see how this is literally the cutting edge of parenting, you should reach out. Okay. So that's part one of what I want to get across is the new standard for fathers is you actually being there to explain stuff and educate your kids to be super smart. Now, there's, again, many dimensions to that. There's so much we could get into, but that's the first point I want to get across. Okay. The second part, though, is in building community locally. And then the third part I'll get into, which ties into it, is you got to have a real business that you actually care about, because you're not actually, I'm going to jump to that first and then go back. All right. Little pivot on you. Okay. Keep it fresh. Keep it exciting. You never know what you're going to get with my YouTube videos, except for I promise you, they're going to be jam-packed full of the real value that you actually need. Okay. So business now. If you don't know how to build a business, you will never be free. Your 9-to-5 job in this illusion we have of, oh, you just save into your 401k or into your Roth IRA, or you learn how to buy some stock in the stock market. That's not going to make you rich. You might get some decent wealth. You might make, 120K a year plus, a little bit extra. Maybe you have a couple assets going on the side. Maybe you got a little rental property, whatever. Great. That's not going to get you to the level where you're actually financially independent and financially properly wealthy. Business is the vehicle by which you can do that inner world. Unless you were born in some rich family and you got a trust fund guaranteed for you and all that, which I know 99% of you don't have. Business is essential. Now, before you go out and start Googling, what business should I get? Or I'm going to buy a laundromat or whatever, right? I'm going to tell you this. The business you decide to get into is going to directly influence you, your life view, your stress levels, your purpose, how you show up, all of that is interconnected. But then also how you show up to your wife and to your kids. So for example, if you just kind of jump into some business, or you're like, oh, the SBA is going to give me a big loan and I'm just going to start my business, and I've kind of a passion for this, whatever, I'm just going to start my business and hope it works. If you're going into it like there's a reason 98% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years. Okay? Because we think, oh, if I just have a positive intention, it's going to work. It's like you're going to the casino and you're pulling that slot machine. You don't think you're doing it, but that's actually what you're doing. Now, instead of wishing to have a successful business, focus on getting the wisdom and the understanding so you can rapidly learn, so that way you can actually build a business that lasts. Now, for me, I'm going to tell you what I do. I have an education business. It's education technology. Because one, it's the most important thing in the world. Two, I have incredible, incredible testimonials. So I go to bed at night knowing I'm helping the people around me get smarter, have more effective principles, have more effective way of living. And that's creating the world I want to see for my kids. It's like I'm building the community that I want to see in the world through the business that I have. There's nothing wrong with business. There's nothing wrong with money and wealth per se. It's when you obsess over it and you just get totally greedy. Yeah, obviously there's going to be problems. When you're genuinely providing value in the marketplace right now in the world, as much as I wish we could just give away shit for free, it doesn't work right now. Everyone is programmed to actually value things they put money into. So like, let's say you're a life coach and you want to be the best life coach, and now you're life coaching people for free. They're not going to change. They're just not. They might get a couple of good ideas. They might show up on some of the calls, but let's say you're a fitness coach and you're teaching people fitness for free, or you're drastically undercharging. The people on a physical level, on a chemical level in their body, they will not value it the same way unless they actually put their money into it. And so many of you out there have the belief that, oh, it's their hard-earned money. It's hard to make money. It's not actually hard to make money. When you understand how to create money, you can create money. You can create value in the marketplace. And when you're good at it, you will literally generate opportunity and the right people will come in your path. You have to get yourself programmed for that. You have to have the wisdom to be able to do that. So that's what I work on. I've been doing for the past 5 years. I've had an education company. Now, even before that, I was a tutor. And many years ago, I was a tutor. And what I noticed was every time I was with the kids I was tutoring, they couldn't learn new things. And it drove me crazy. The best I could do was kind of teach them how to like pass the test and get them pumped up and just like be a friend to them. That's not real learning though. So what I found 5 years ago, and I make other videos about this, is I found a tool by which you can literally learn anything you want rapidly, essentially instantly, to your unconscious mind. So it becomes automatic. Because why do you read a book? Is it because you want it to like be in your mind database so you can use it later? Like you read Atomic Habits because you want to actually develop atomic habits and get the benefit of that? Or you read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie because you actually want to make more friends and you want to influence people. But then you read the book and in there's like a whole chapter on like smile, right? But then how much of the day are you actually smiling? You know, or it's like talk more about the other person than yourself. That's like from the book. See, I know this because I actually learned it. I actually imprinted it into my unconscious mind. So it's automatic. So then I can apply the knowledge and actually get the result. See, I know this stuff. Now, when you talk more about the other person than yourself, you end up creating this cool affinity. I know you probably heard that before, but how much do you actually do that? Because I know a lot of people, because I've run a mastermind for the past 5 years, and we've literally had thousands of people locally come to our events. And it's awesome. And so many of the people have read How to Win Friends and Influence People. And then I talk to them and all they want to talk about is themselves. Now, I'm cool with that because, I know how to make a friend and I'm interested in pretty much everything. I'm a sponge. I love to learn. So I will talk to them and I will enjoy the conversation. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, bro, you did not read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Your eyes looked at the words. You didn't read it. There's a big difference between being exposed to information and learning. Learning is changing your behavior. You don't do that by just picking up a book and hoping. You don't do that by just buying a course and hoping. You have to physically get that information into your database. That's what the education tool is that I'm talking about. Now, here's some other stories of it, and this is how it relates back to being a father setting a new standard. When I go to bed at night, every night, I feel freaking good about what I'm doing. Sure, some days are harder than others, and some days are freaking amazing, and I don't even want to go to bed because I'm so pumped up. But what I'm doing as a business owner, which pays my bills, it allows me to go on vacation, it allows me to have this awesome life, is in direct alignment with my purpose, with my fulfillment. So I don't run out of energy. I wake up and I'm pumped to get on with my day. Throughout the day, I have energy throughout the day and I'm enjoying it. Of course, there's some hiccups and things along the way, but I just crush, like I obliterate the things that pop up. If you don't know what obliterate means, you should build your vocabulary. Now, at the end of the day, then when I go home and I see my wife and she's made dinner for us and I see my kids, I'm telling stories about how I'm impacting people's lives. Do you think that's having an impact on my kids? Versus if I'm like, oh yeah, I had to go, back to the plant and, I had to, I'm was welding the certain project and, that's what I'm doing. It's like, look, if you have a blue collar position right now, there's nothing wrong with it. What I'm painting for you is what is able to become the ideal. You can morph this into your own version of the ideal. I know you may not want my exact life that I have, right? I live on a freaking homestead out kind of in the country. Some people love to live in the city. You want a penthouse in downtown. Cool. I want to help you get that, but I want to make sure that you're in alignment with your real purpose and you're going to actually be a positive influence in the world so you don't end up participating in some bullshit and then it causes a consequence for my kids or your own kids, right? So this now morphs into the final part, which I want to get across as community. And I'm going to sum it up really simple. Be part of the community that you want to see in the world. So simple. It's like a twist on that Gandhi quote, right? He says, be the change you want to see in the world. We've all heard it a million times, but are you doing it? Are you actually being that change? Or are you just being that change when you feel good, a couple times a week, and then you kind of forget about it on the weekend and you actually deep down hate your freaking life and you feel dread every freaking day. And Sunday rolls around and you're dreading Mondays coming up. I know what that's like. I've been there. But if you have that, or you have that anxiety, or you just have anger, you get irrationally frustrated with stuff, or you lash out at your kids, and then you feel guilty because you didn't want to, but you did. That's showing you what you're programmed for, okay? Here's the good news and the bad news. You can't get there on your own. You can't. No man is an island, as they say. You can't isolate yourself into success. There's that other phrase, iron sharpens iron. I have a group of guys around me here locally that are freaking awesome, and it's growing. It's like a magnet. We're getting new people now coming in that are just like, they'll come in the most random ways. It's amazing. But I mean, I post a lot of videos and stuff, so it's like it's out there, and I have a lot of friends who are like-minded, so we're like pulling people in because I envision a world where we have community of hundreds or thousands of men specifically that are actually pushing themselves, actually being that change they want to see. And then we get together every month, have a hangout, have a barbecue, get the family together, get the kids together, have our kids become friends. And then like, here's a little bit of the vision, then I'll wrap up the video. Right now, I'm in my new office that I built. It's part of this pole barn that the previous owners built on here. And the previous owner used to keep his cars in here and stuff. And it's a nice little setup. What we're creating in here, though, is a makerspace. So we'll have like a 3D printer, a woodworking studio, pottery, but then also like a lounge hangout with like foosball and like it could even be like a cigar lounge for the guys on like guys' night. And then have like infrared sauna and a cold plunge so we can do the biohacking thing. But the purpose of it is not just to spike our dopamine to feel good. The purpose of it is to engineer the greatest community the world has ever seen. And then have a blueprint because I have friends in 32 cities around the world and growing that are like-minded that are building this all locally. So if you're in, like I'm in Minnesota, but if you're in Texas, if you're in Florida, if you're in New Jersey, if you're in California, if you're in Montreal, if you're in Vancouver, if you're in Berlin, Germany, if you're in places like this, I can introduce you to these people. But if you're just going to try and go because you want to just be like a vampire and just try and suck the energy out of it, we're not going to invite you. But if you're going to be there with an open mind and say, this is badass. Like this is where I want my kids to hang out with. Like these are the kind of people, these are the kind of conversations I want to have. I want to be talking about inspiring, expansive things. I want to talk about how we can level up, how we can change the world, what's going on with current events. Like, how can we actually take this and make it empowering? How can we take this and take maximum self-responsibility? That is the ethos of the new standard of fathers. That's what I'm about. And if you resonate with that, you should message me. Stop being shy. Don't sit on the sidelines. I will have people that will see my videos. So finally we'll connect after a few months. Like, yeah, dude, I felt like 4 months ago, I saw some video you made and I wanted to reach out, but I didn't. I'm like, dude, don't be a pussy. Like, just reach out because there's so many things. I can open up so much for you if you're down with the general direction of the mission. You don't have to agree on everything, but generally you want to see the world be amazing and awesome. You want to figure this out with us. Let's do it. And if not, okay, have fun going on drinking beer and scrolling Reddit and 4chan. I don't know what the average guy is doing except for sleepwalking through life, just trying to make money so you can go on one vacation a year and then get drunk on the weekend. Like, your wife is not going to be turned on by that. Like, your kids are not going to be inspired by that. And so let's be part of this change we want to see. And we each play a piece. It's like, I call it the super puzzle. There's a super puzzle of reality that we're sorting out, and it's starting to come into picture, but we each are a puzzle piece. No piece is greater than the other. There's some pieces that are going to be in a different part and they're going to hold a different, section in place, but no piece is greater. It's about us each being a piece and actually being like snapped in. So then we got it. And then we can literally create the world that we want to see. But it starts more local with the community. And then it really starts in the home with you as the man of your family. All right. So if you got something out of that, you might even want to listen to this again because there was a lot I covered. But this is the new standard for fathers. And this is what I will create in my lifetime. And I'm part of a huge movement that's doing this. Okay. So let's connect. See ya.